So, this wasn't part of the plan, but after everything I've learned so far with 3D printing, this felt about right. I'm learning, my printer's learning, my cat clearly has opinions. If there's one thing I've learned so far, it's that nothing ever goes exactly to plan. Let's start the episode. Being brand new to 3D printing, I am far from being a graduate at Printer University, let alone being a professional. I have, however, learned quite a few things in the short time I've been doing this. So I want to go over those things with you today. So let's go learn something. So we're going to do this in order, just like if we were doing one of our prints. So we have to start off looking for a print. That brings me to the first thing I learned, and that's to print with a purpose. When you're looking for a 3D print, you want to make sure the print is something that's going to be useful, or something for a loved one, something that has meaning to it. When we print just random objects, we're not as invested in them. So printing becomes boring and sometimes meaningless. And sometimes that can lead to something I call printer's block, when you just can't find something to print. So make sure on your next print, it has some meaning to it. That keeps you engaged, and now you're invested in your print. Now for our second item. You have in mind what you want to print, but where do I print it from? There are several different websites that I use, Maker's World, Printables, Thingiverse, just to name a few. And I have found that some are better than others. The one I like the most is probably Printables. Reason being is there's not a lot of advertisements on it. The downloads, it's pretty clear what you're downloading, whether it's an STL file or a CAD file, something like that. The one I probably like the least is Thingiverse, because there are so many ads. Each time I click a download, there's a 10-second ad that pops up, and then you got to wait patiently for that ad, and then your download will start downloading. So, and Maker's World is primarily used for Bamboo. It's kind of, you have to make sure you go in and download the STL file. So those are just a few of the ones, and to name a few. But again, Printables is definitely one of my favorites. So that's the one I would recommend. The third thing I've learned is once we have our print, once we've decided where we're downloading it from, now we have to determine what slicer we're going to use. There are several out there, and several YouTubers have their preference. Orca slicer is one of the biggest out there. Elegoo slicer is what I use currently, which looks exactly like Orca slicer. I'm just used to Elegoo slicer because that's what I loaded onto the computer first, because it came with the printer. But there's several slicers out there to use. And really it's just preference and ease of use when it comes down to it. But again, choose whichever one you feel most comfortable with and would think would work the best for you. Okay, we have our print. We have where we're printing it from. We know what slicer we're loading it into. That brings us to number 4. Number 4 for me would be brims and supports and when to use them. This is sometimes what I hear is like the most daunting thing when it comes to people putting prints into a slicer. And really it's not that difficult at all, I'm finding. I found for the most part that my slicer will tell me when I need to add supports and when I don't need to add supports. And when I do need to add the supports, I often go in and I've shown you on other videos how to add those supports, and I'll use the tree supports. They're the easiest to remove, I find, and they're not as intrusive on the print. So that's what I use. With the brims, I find that most of the prints have the brims automatically put onto them. So a few times I have had to click on the brim, but that brings me to my next point. What if it doesn't flag that you need supports or brims on your printing? Then what do you do? Honestly, for me, it's trial and error. And that's why you watch my videos and print alongside of me, because you can see when a print needs supports or doesn't need supports. And honestly, I don't mind wasting the filament, because again, this is a learning process for me. So when I get a print such as this one right here that I printed for my son's advent calendar, which is a headphone holder, I found that I probably should have printed supports. This was not flagged in the system as needing supports, but the ears were printed kind of in the air. So there was nothing for the filament to grab onto. So that's where all this stringing comes into play. Right here, kind of under the chin. So I will end up reprinting this, and I'll be adding tree supports automatically, and it should place those supports where I need them. Now we move on to the fifth thing I've learned, and that's different types of filaments and when to use them. One of the most recent videos, you saw me try to print out this toothpaste tube squeezer. And what's awesome about my channel is that there are some really cool people out there leaving comments in the comment section, and someone left a comment saying I should print this in PETG. What they explained is whenever there's a print you have that requires mechanical force, meaning like this toothpaste roller, when you're moving the print and applying force to the print, you want to print that in PETG. So other filaments I found that I've used some sandable PLA for prints that I wanted to sand out layer lines on. I've used glow-in-the-dark PLA, which is I found to be abrasive from a lot of YouTubers out there. It's abrasive, and you want to be careful because you should be using a steel hardened nozzle with those, and it can damage your print nozzle. I've used the wood PLA as you've seen. So there's different types of filaments. I haven't gotten to the rest of them, but there's ABS out there. Too many to name really. So again, choose the right filament for the right job. There's so many YouTube channels out there that can go over filament. Maybe one day I'll be qualified enough to make a video like that, but for right now, it's just things I've learned, and using PETG when it requires mechanical force on your print is the way to go. Now that brings me to kind of a little side, bonus knowledge type thing that I've learned along the way, and that's with filament also, printing out filament clips. What I found is if I don't secure the loose end of my filament, that it can get tangled up in the reel because the loose end can go up underneath it. It gets tangled up in the reel. You put it on your spool holder, you print, and then that tangle gets tight, and then pretty soon your printer can't pull filament anymore. It breaks off in the machine. The machine again doesn't know that it's not printing filament, at least the Elegoo does. And then you end up printing nothing but air, and you spent all day or all night on that print, and it's half finished, and you can't go back, so you gotta throw away that print. So filament clips come in handy. I like these a lot. You just print them and you clip them onto the side. There's several different varieties of these in printables. The other ones I've used are these type that clip onto the cardboard, and then you run your filament through the middle. These seem to work really well. And then I've also printed out these kind of clamp type ones. These are probably my least favorite. I don't use these a lot. I'm sure there's a purpose for them. I just haven't found one yet. But they clamp onto the edge, and then you stick your filament through, which I have one of those right here. And so, I mean, again, I'm sure they have a purpose. I just wanted to try different ones for you guys right there. And as you can see, I hadn't been doing that, and some of my filament is tangled up. So I know there are these holes on the side right here that you can run them through. I just like the filament holders because also you won't crimp the ends, and then you have to cut off the end to be clean. Also, keep your filament taut in the spool. That's just another good thing. Again, it's not going to tangle as much and everything else. So that's what I've learned on filament holders. Now you know what filament to choose, but next is, will the print stick to the bed? This is sometimes the most nerve-wracking thing when it comes to a new printer, is whether the filament's gonna stick or not. When I printed with PETG for the first time, it did not stick, and I had a big mess when I got home. Hi, Buster. Helping out? Just hanging out, huh? You were gonna get your YouTube moment too. All right, time for you to go, Buster. Come on. When I printed PETG, it did not stick to the plate, and I had a big mess when I got home after 8 hours of printing. That was a lot of filament wasted. So I used glue stick. And what I found was that glue stick added that little bit of extra tackiness to the plate so that my prints would stick. Other people will say that they use hairspray. I know it's a preference thing. You're not going to let me do this, are you? Hello, kitty. I know you're going to just stay here. So I know it's just a preference thing when it comes to either glue stick or hairspray. I haven't found the hairspray to work too well. I don't know if I didn't put it on correctly, if I didn't, use enough of it. So I primarily use the glue stick. So, and I have yet to, knock on wood, have issues when I've had problems with it sticking to the plate using glue stick. And you can always, either one, you can wash off your plate with warm soap and water. So if you're having problems with prints sticking to the plate, make sure to use glue stick or hairspray. Okay, that brings me to number 7. Number 7 is filament dryers. When do you need them? When do you don't? As you probably know by now, not every printer has a filament dryer with it. I had to buy this extra. Normally, the filament would just rest on the spool on the side of the printer. When you're opening new filament, you probably, all of our animals want to be in videos today. And here's Buster the cat. A brand new roll of filament probably doesn't need to be dried because it comes in a sealed package and it has one of those moisture absorbent material things in them. You don't always need filament dryers, especially if you live in a dry climate. You are never gonna let me finish this, are you? All right, we're just gonna keep going here. Especially if you live in a dry climate, you probably don't need a filament dryer. So again, it just ultimately what your preference is, and if you think you live in a place that has a lot of moisture in it, you can make the determination. If your prints aren't turning out great, there's some bubbling in them and stuff, then maybe look at a filament dryer. All right, so you know what filament you're using, and you know if you're gonna use a dryer or not. Next is number 8. Number 8 is making sure your temperatures are correct for whatever filament you choose. Sometimes in the slicer, if you were printing with PLA for your previous print, and you decided to print PETG and you didn't change your filament in the presets, your temperatures will be off for that filament. So make sure those are set correctly before you send your print to the printer. The other thing is sometimes printers don't always have the presets done correctly and you need a little more temperature on your print bed or on your nozzle to actually make the print come out good, stick, adhere to the bed. So again, play around with the temperatures sometimes. If you're having problems with the print sticking to the bed or that filament sticking to itself, your temperatures could be off. So again, play around with those temperatures, maybe increase them 10 degrees, and that might help your print in the long run. Okay, now your print's printing and everything's looking good. What I learned for number 9 is just how long you can spend watching your print. Standing at that glass door, looking at your print, watching the camera feed, it's maddening just how long you'll watch those first few prints just to make sure they're not messing up in the printer. And the biggest advice I can give is mess ups happen. It's not if it's gonna happen, it's when it's gonna happen. But again, we do this because we enjoy doing it. So we just take that mess up and we learn from it. Did we not use glue? Did we not set the temperature correctly for the type of filament we were using? I've often forgot that I even put PETG into the print and I had it set to print PLA and nothing stuck to the plate. So again, yes, you're gonna watch your prints, but don't let it drive you crazy to the point where you're spending hours at that print door looking and waiting. Spend it with your family. All right, you did it. Your print is done. Now it's time to pull it off the plate and take a look at what you have. And then you realize it doesn't look quite right. There's a few flaws in it. That brings me to the 10th and final thing I've learned, tools. You're gonna need tools and supplies when you're first starting out. So there are several videos out there on the different types of tools and supplies that each printer needs when they're getting started. I'm brand new at this, and I'll tell you what I use the most. First thing I use is needle nose pliers. I use this quite often, whether that's pulling off brims, pulling off some loose pieces, pulling out trees, you'll see me use needle nose pliers. The deburring tool to take off brims is very handy to have because again, it saves my fingers from if I use a knife and I slip off and I cut my finger. So a deburring tool. I use a Dremel. I also have some carving bits that I use too. If there's pieces that have like little crevices in them and there's stuff in them, I can use that carving tool to clean those out. This has some sanding wheel on it. Again, I'll use the sanding wheel to kind of clean up my prints a little bit, especially if they're in very rough shape. I'll use the sanding wheel. This little guy right here is a little miniature sander. I don't use this one as much. I'm sure I'll use it later on when I'm creating like more detailed stuff. In a couple videos, they said this was a necessity for new printers. I disagree. You're just learning. So quality of print, sure, that's important, but you're not making prop type prints. I mean, if you are, good for you, you know, and you're probably really good at 3D printing, but just starting out, not something I really use all that much. A knife, but be very careful. Again, I don't use it for cleaning up necessarily. Maybe sometimes I'll use it for cleaning up, but again, I'm very careful with the box cutter. I said knife, but I always call it my handy box cutter. Sandpaper, just good old fashioned manual sandpaper. This is really fine grit sandpaper. And as you're increasing and you're wanting to, you know, get those fine scratches out, you'll increase the grit on sandpaper. This is 1000 grit sandpaper. And again, just as you're sanding, you want to increase that grit and it'll get those scratches out. Part of the supplies you'll need, super glue. I use this quite a bit. Again, when we're joining projects together like that toothbrush holder, you're gonna want some kind of bonding agent, super glue. I also have UV resin, which is just some resin and then you use a UV light to dry it. I like the UV resin for prints that you know, have a clear area of where the glue is, because you have to be able to shine the light on the UV resin to get it to dry. So you can't use it like you would super glue, cover it, and then try to get UV light to dry it. Unless if it's really thin print and it'll go through the print, then it might dry. But UV resin's awesome too, because it will not dry until you put that UV light on it. So you can manipulate the piece and move those pieces where you want. Whereas super glue, you want to act a little faster. And then some of the other ones I've already showed you, glue stick, hairspray. Those are all things that you will want to have in your kit when you're first starting, because again, it's going to really help you in the long run. And you're going to wish you had some of these tools as well. Screwdriver, you know, for your printer, Allen wrenches, those usually come with your printer, but they do make some really cool Allen wrenches. I plan to pick up with like a screwdriver type handle instead of using the like Allen key wrenches. Those can be a pain sometimes. So yeah, those are the tools I recommend you get as someone that's new to printing. So as we wrap this video up, let me answer a couple questions you might have. Yes, this cap was too small for my head. It was my daughter's from when she graduated preschool. Where's my graduation cap, you may ask? I can't find it. With those questions answered, I have a few final thoughts. First, I know some of you may think that the lessons I've learned here are simple ones that anyone should know. I never claimed to be an expert in 3D printing. I'm just a guy who bought a 3D printer as a hobby and hoped that, you know, I could learn to do cool stuff with it. I put YouTube videos out so that people could learn and print alongside of me. And as long as the prints are useful or have meaning behind them, I'll continue to print and grow. And I hope you guys find enjoyment out of that as well. So, ABP, always be printing. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.